All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mindgasms. So, I am Andrew, aka Pro Free Speech, Anti Asshole Mindgasms, for the purposes of this video. And I'm going to talk about this latest news about uh, my favorite former mathematician and professional cherry picker and mangler of philosophy, James Lindsay, who I like to criticize a lot, being recently banned from Twitter permanently for basically bullying trans people and responding by saying okay groomer and then okay child sexualization specialist, um, in response to trans people and trans activists, and perpetuating this idea that trans people and trans activists are pedophiles who are trying to groom children to convert them to be trans, as if that's actually a thing, even though it's not actually a thing that happens, which is similar to why Jordan Peterson got banned from Twitter recently, although temporarily in his case. And it sounds like James Lindsay was permanently deleted for repeatedly saying, calling trans activists and trans people groomers and child sexualization specialists. So I personally don't think that he should have been banned, because I'm almost a free speech absolutist. I'm okay. Like, I think people should be allowed to be Holocaust deniers. People should be allowed to be complete fucking assholes who bully people. But I don't make the rules for Twitter, and that's why I'm pro free speech, anti asshole, because he is a fucking asshole. Like I said, that doesn't mean I think he should have been banned, but that's why Twitter decided to ban him. If you're going to be an asshole who bullies people, then Twitter tends to ban you nowadays. So this is the tweet that got him banned here. This is the page that resulted in his ban, or the notice that he was banned, rather, with the tweet included here. And he included a picture of that in the thumbnail of this video too. So it says, "Hello, James Lindsay, American's top Christian nationalist." Of course, his Twitter handle and his, I don't know, accurate. No, what's that word? Pseudonym is America's top Christian nationalist, and his regular name is Conceptual James. Anyway, hello, James Lindsay, America's top Christian nationalist. Your account, Conceptual James, has been suspended for violating the Twitter rules, specifically for violating our rules against hateful conduct. You may not provoke violence against, threaten, or harass other people on the basis of race, ethnicity, national origin, sexual orientation, gender identity, religious affiliation, age, disability, or serious disease. So it sounds like he was harassing trans people and trans activists, as he likes to make a habit out of because he's an asshole. So this is the tweet that got him banned here. He said, okay, child sexualization specialist. So I guess he said that one too many times, and he got banned. Like I said, I don't think he should have gotten banned, because I'm personally am almost a free speech absolutist. I don't think you should be allowed to threaten violence or shit like that. But like I said, I think you should be allowed to be a Holocaust denier or a Nazi, or to harass people and be an asshole to them, and be an online bully. I think you should be allowed, but that's not Twitter's rules, and you have to go by their rules, even though it definitely fucking sucks, because I've gotten temporarily banned from, not from Twitter, but from Facebook before, for stupid shit that was way more inconsequential than this. Oh yeah, so at the bottom of the page after the tweet, it says, note that if you attempt to evade a permanent suspension by creating new accounts, we will suspend your new accounts. If you wish to appeal the suspension, please contact our support team. I'm not sure whether he has or not. So, like I said, that is why James Lindsay recently got banned on Twitter. And I'm going to play a short clip from him going on the Canadian YouTuber Megan Murphy's podcast, who also got permanently banned from Twitter, I think at least a couple of years ago now, like before all the COVID stuff. Uh, she got banned for saying men aren't women, though. So similarly for some trans stuff, it's fucking stupid that this trans subject got so politicized. Like, lefties tend to be pro-trans people and righties tend to be anti-trans people, broadly speaking. But anyway, I'm going to comment here on him going into a little bit of the details associated with him being banned from Twitter.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, Sunday evening, for taking time out of your precious Sunday to talk about Twitter and groomers. I'm here with James Lindsay, of course. James, thank you so much for making the time tonight. I really appreciate it. I know you're busy and
I'm so used to listening to people at 2 times speed that she sounds more stoned than me right now.
about to take off for some travel, so thank you.
Yeah, I got a busy week ahead of me, so I'm glad we could get it in tonight. Should be fun.
Yeah, I'm super glad that we could fit it in. Okay, let's start with the big news, which is that you were perma-banned from Twitter. What happened there?
Well, there are trans activists, and then there are trans activists. I've been poking the bear with not just trans activists, but in gender.
He is right, by the way, that, by saying they're trans activists and they're a trans activist, because I feel like I've said before, and I try to mention every time I make a video about anything to do with trans issues, the like limited sample size, of course, but in my limited experience, trans people are just like regular people in that the vast majority of them are not woke and aren't like denying biological facts about men and women and shit like that. It's a tiny, very vocal minority on Twitter and social media that is doing crazy shit like that, which is probably what he means by they're a trans activist and they're a trans activist.
In general, around this so-called thing that people are giving like 11 million names: gender ideology, queer theory, whatever it happens to be. And the sexualization.
He's the one who's giving 11 million names. He's lumping all of these philosophical categories together as if they're the same thing, which he always does. Although he doesn't in this, at least in this clip. I'm not playing the whole fucking podcast, of course, but in general, he tends to lump queer theory, transgender theory together with postmodernism, post-structuralism, critical theory, the neo-Marxists and the Frankfurt School, and critical race theory, as if they're all the same thing. Oh, and feminism too, even though they're all at least slightly different things, if not very different things, and have antithetical theories. And also, each one of them are not monoliths either. There are critical race theorists who disagree with each other, critical theorists, etc., and they're criticizing people in other camps. I mentioned before this book by Habermas, who was one of the critical theorists that I read recently, called The Philosophical Discourse of Modernity, in which it was entirely about him criticizing Foucault and other people's like Nietzsche's and other critical theorists and post-structuralists critiques of reason and modernity and rationality. So that's a critical theorist defending reason, the Enlightenment, modernity, and rationality, and criticizing those who criticize it. So neither of these fields of thought are monoliths either. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Of children through introduction of kind of destabilizing the categories of sex, gender, and sexuality through queer theory, which emerged in the 80s and has gotten properly crazy since. And so because it's kind of a cult grooming thing, I've been calling them groomers since last.
Okay, this shit so fucking annoys me. It's it's not a cult groomer thing. It's not like there's a giant evil cabal of trans activists whose explicit or even implicit goal is to go around converting children to be trans. That's what people mean when they're groomers. They're pedophile groomers who are trying to convert children to be trans. And that's not how sexuality works. It's just like how conservative used to say, oh, we better worry about those gays. they're going to convert the children to be gay, because that's totally how sexuality works, bro. You don't become trans by someone converting you. You were born trans in the same way that you were born gay or born straight. And I mean, I think it's always in the nature versus nurture debate, it tends to always be both. So people are born gay, straight, or trans, although of course if you're trans you can also be gay or straight or bi or lesbian or whatever, but your interaction with people in your environment and your upbringing in your culture influence how straight or how gay or how bi or how trans or how lesbian you are, I would say. But yeah, it's just fucking bullshit that there are a whole bunch of trans activists going around being pedophile groomers and trying to convert people to be trans. This shit that people like James Lindsay and Jordan Peterson, this bullshit that they spout is just exactly that, fucking bullshit.
Last fall, Twitter personalities erupted in anger a few times between October, when I started doing it, and the present. They had a huge blow up about it in October, November, another one in March. They seemed pretty powerless to do anything about me saying "okay, groomer" in a very dismissive way, echoing, of course, "okay, boomer," from previous election, I guess, mockery or whatever. And so finally, they changed the rules on Twitter, unbeknownst to anybody.
This is like I just thought of this, but it's kind of like that stupid Dark Brandon meme that I talked about recently with Chris and Dusty in our podcast, in which we were discussing the FBI raiding Trump's Mar-a-Lago, and then it resulted. Oh wait, no, it was right before that when people started using the Dark Brandon meme, which is so hilarious because, of course, it combines the "Let's Go Brandon" thing at that NASCAR event where people were actually shouting "fuck Joe Biden" with with Dark MAGA. So instead of Dark MAGA or "Let's Go Brandon," it's Dark Brandon, like Biden being all based and authoritarian or some shit like that, which is hilarious. But okay groomer is kind of like that in that it's kind of flipping okay boomer on its head from the opposite political ideological direction, but it's still fucking stupid, and him going around saying that to people and being an asshole bully is just fucking immature and stupid.
Because as if anybody pays attention to that. And changed the rule in February. I hear that groomer became, when directed at somebody who is LGBTQ plus whatever, a term of hate speech. It is a slur against them, which of course is not so good for most gays and lesbians who aren't into the grooming of children and are now,
Okay, but I don't know if he means most gays and lesbians are into the grooming of children, but that's clearly fucking bullshit if he's saying that. It's obviously not the case that most gay and lesbian people are pedophiles who are grooming children and trying to convert them to be gay or lesbian. But if he does, maybe he just means the majority of these trans activists who are doing that. And again, I'm sure he's fucking exaggerating massively how many people this actually is. It's probably like, I don't know, 100 people on Twitter or something like that. I'd be very fucking shocked if it's any more than 100 people.
It's being reified as one, if somebody was a Marxist might
in
say,
the entire world.
It's being reified that groomer means them, even though it doesn't. But this means that these activists can continue to, silence people who are pointing out the term of hate speech. It is a slur against them, which of course is not so good for most gays and lesbians who aren't into the grooming of children and are now.
They're not, though.
It's being reified as one, if somebody was a Marxist might say, it's being reified that groomer means them, even though it doesn't. But this means that these...
Reified is not a Marxist word. Plenty of people use that who are not Marxists. I don't know why he said that.
Activists can continue to, silence people who are pointing out that the introduction of sexual ideology with children is not appropriate. So they start calling them groomer.
This is another conflation, and this is a complex issue which people don't admit on either side of the political spectrum. Like whether this is one of many aspects of it. Sex education for children is a normal thing. I mean, I remember in elementary school. This is anecdotal, but it is a common thing that happens. In elementary school, that's when we started having sex education classes because, and this is borne out by data in multiple replicated studies, of course, if you teach children about safe sex, like how to use condoms and how people get pregnant and how awful STDs are, that's way more effective in preventing teen pregnancies and STDs and dangerous sex than fucking abstinence or anything like that. So it's not inherently bad to teach sex education to children. And people like James Lindsay and Jordan Peterson act like whenever sex education is being taught to children, it's always the case that they're treating their like fucking woke trans ideology or some shit. And if they are doing fucking woke trans ideology or pedophile grooming children or shit, obviously that's fucking awful. But this isn't a fucking thing that's happening other than like, I don't know, like one or two cases here or there. They're really fucking massively blowing this up and are just being disingenuous about how common this is and saying that it's way more common than it actually is. And just sex education is not even close to the same thing as teaching some woke ideology. It depends on it depends on who's doing it. And even if woke people are doing it, it's not necessarily the case that woke trans activists are even selling their ideology to children or something like that. And if they're teaching them sex education, even if they are teaching them their woke trans ideology or whatever, that's not the same as fucking pedophile grooming children. That's also not even anywhere near as bad as pedophile grooming children. So this like no aspect of this makes any sense whatsoever. I mean, you could argue that people should have to be older, children should have to be older to get sex education, but I mean, like as long as you're not showing them porn or actually teaching them some fucked up woke trans ideology or anything fucking creepy or wrong like that, I don't see why there should be a downward age limit as long as the children are old enough to actually understand what's going on. Like for us, I think it was like grade 6 or 7. I say that because I'm in Canada rather than 6th or 7th grade, which is just before high school. I don't know, maybe we were around 12 or so, 10 or 12, like preteens. Preteens seems like maybe around the right age to start teaching children sex education, maybe younger than that, like 10 or I don't know. I don't know what the age should be, but people act like just sex education is equivalent to, according to James Lindsay, not only teaching woke trans ideology, but literally being fucking pedophile trans groomers, which is so fucking stupid.
They finally got me banned for 12 hours for calling them groomer a couple of weeks ago. There's a Media Matters kind of hit piece or whatever that came out about it.
That's all they do, I think. Right?
It is. It's like there's 4 or 5 people at a handful of like hard left organizations that have shadowy funding that kind of run the board of social media. It comes down to something like this. So they did a hit piece on me, and
he could be right about that, and I haven't researched this at all, full disclosure, but I don't believe him because he's way too fucking conspiratorial about everything he says.
Libs of TikTok, and another account called Gays Against Groomers, which really messes
Interesting. He mentioned Libs of TikTok, and he didn't do the standard insulting them and calling them pedophile groomers there, perhaps because they're lumped into the same category as him and banned for similar reasons, but obviously in the complete polar opposite political direction. But maybe he just didn't feel like addressing that. I don't fucking read minds.
Up their whole program that's run by a lesbian woman named Jamie, who's wonderful. And so I got kicked out for 12 hours for saying okay groomer to one of these trans people, in that case that works at Media Matters. And there are a number of other people. There's this one character whose handle is something along the lines of S queer with some underscores or something.
I looked him up.
What is it? Alejandra Carabello or some Ballo or some, I don't know. Some
Caraballo.
Yeah. Some kind of Harvard something or another.
Instructor, not professor. He pointed out
of course.
On his own
it's probably
Twitter
an adjunct for $2,000 a semester that's getting absolutely exploited.
Probably.
suck.
Dad jokes really get paid that little? That's fucking criminal if that's true. I know teachers are infamously underpaid. Not infamously, famously.
For your life. But anyways, I did the OK Groomer to this trans person, Ari Drennan from Media Matters, and that got me booted 12 hours. I get back on, and then about 5 days later, I got booted again for another OK Groomer. I was like, oh, I see what's happening. They're going after they've reported all the old OK Groomer tweets. There are 1,000 of them. Better go delete the ones where I call somebody a groomer proactively. So I spent an evening doing that in a hotel room in DC. I'd just come.
How much time does this guy spend on fucking Twitter? Like, he apparently spends at one point he said he spends 16 hours a day reading like critical theory and critical race theory and postmodernism, queer theory, feminism, all that shit. Yet he's tweeting all day fucking long, and then he spent hours frantically deleting tweets because Twitter changed the rule. Like, his whole life revolves around Twitter. What's he gonna do now? He's gonna go through withdrawal or something, man.
Arrived for an event, and I spent the whole night, like, instead of going and meeting with people, deleting tweets. And so then it came to my mind that it would be clever to use a different phrase to beat them at their word game. So I started calling them child sexualization specialists. And that,
yeah, the difference though is that, I mean, I don't know the details of these tweets, but it sounds like he was the one incessantly bullying them and they were not bullying him. So yes, word games are involved with like stupid wokeness and shit like that, which he conflates with some interesting realms of philosophy all the fucking time. But he's using word games to get away with insulting and bullying people online. And again, I don't think he should have been banned for that, because I think people should be allowed to be complete assholes to people on social media. But like, he was being a fucking bully to people, and it sounds like they were just spreading their woke ideology shit. And you can criticize that without being an asshole to people. It is possible.
pissed them off. And apparently, child sexualization specialist is, in Twitter's eyes, worthy of a permanent ban. So the actual tweet argument, I'd come up with this idea. So I went to Caraballo's page to see if there's anything that I could attach it to see what would happen. It was good to poke the bear. And Caraballo's page there had something saying Alex Jones's attorneys are curing us all of imposter syndrome. So I was like distracted by this and said, well, now do Kamala Harris. And the reply was, your misogynoir is showing.
Oh, okay.
And I said, oh, okay, child sexualization specialist.
Wait, what's misogynoir? Is that some play on words of misogyny? Misogyn. I don't even know how to spell that. Misogynoir is misogyny directed towards black women, where race and gender both play roles in bias. Oh, it's some internet intersectionality shit. The term was coined by black feminist Moya Bailey in 2010 to address misogyny directed toward black women in American visual and popular culture. That's definitely some intersectionality shit. I'd never heard that term before. Okay, so then again, he, like he just said, he responded with "Okay, groomer."
And here we are. Lifetime ban from Twitter for that. Which to me is like admitting guilt, but okay.
I didn't.
Huh. Yeah, that's so fucking stupid. Like, why did he have to be a fucking dickhead? Again, I don't think he should have been banned, because I think you should be able to be a fucking Nazi or a Holocaust denier and be an asshole and a bully to people all over social media, as long as you don't incite violence or some shit like that. But he was being a fucking asshole, and he knows that Twitter is really strict with their rules. So it's his own fucking fault that he got banned, in the exact same way as Jordan Peterson getting banned for being an asshole to that slightly fat woman for her being on the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue cover, and to Elliot Page deliberately dead naming her and shit. Again, like I said in that video, I think you should be allowed to dead name people too. I think you should be allowed to be an asshole, but Twitter doesn't allow that, and Twitter doesn't allow you to harass people based on that. So that's your own fault. You got to follow the company. You got to follow the rules of a private company, regardless of how like woke and strict those rules are. Anyway, hope you enjoyed me going into this latest fucking nonsense about James Lindsay. I'm sure he's gonna keep publishing tons of videos, spreading all kinds of bullshit misinformation about philosophy. So I'll keep criticizing that, and I'll keep doing my book series on the book that he wrote with Helen Pluckrose called Cynical Theories, in which he endlessly strawmans postmodernism, critical theory, critical race theory, and a bunch of other stuff like queer theory and feminism and intersectionality. Although I think those last three are way more woke and cringy than the other categories. Along with anti-racism too, which is different from critical race theory, but James Lindsay conflates those two. Anyway, so James Lindsay got banned from Twitter. He's an asshole. Shouldn't have gotten banned, but it's his own fucking fault. And he doesn't know what he's fucking talking about when it comes to this woke shit, of course. So yeah, thanks for watching. Click that like button, share this everywhere, subscribe to the channel, click that bell to be notified when I come out with new videos on ideally Sunday. Dusty and Chris and I, who we often do podcasts with, are ideally going to finally talk about Reversing Roe, which is that new documentary on Netflix about the decades-long process through Christian evangelical think tanks like the so-called moral majority, with people like Pat Robertson and Jerry Falwell pressuring Republicans for decades since the passing of Roe versus Wade, that led to it being overturned recently, only a few months ago in the US. So check that out as well. Check out that previous podcast that I mentioned with the three of us also talking about Trump's Mar-a-Lago being raided by the FBI recently, and the connection between that and the January 6th hearings. And oh yeah, of course, check out my Patreon page too. The link is in the description of the video as always. If you give me $10 a month, you can vote on future topics, books, and movies that I will discuss both by myself and with others. And like I always say, always remember this: the funk cures all, and groove is in the heart. And James Lindsay is an asshole, but he shouldn't have been banned from Twitter. All right. Thanks again, everyone, and adios until next time.